Oh, just a second.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the FPL Banger Show. My name is Siva. I'm joined by a man who scored 96 points without using a chip this week. No triple captain, no free hit, no bench boost. Sam, come on down. How does it feel?
It's terrible because I'm actually supposed to score like 97 and then FPL changed the bonus points, I think. I think they took away one from Senesi, I want to say. I can't even remember who they took it from. But yeah, robbery.
I mean, I think it's Timber, I think, who lost his bonus point to David Raya. But, so small things, Sam. I think you'll admit that in the context of the week you had, you probably give that up.
Yeah, it's true. No complaints, I guess, for someone who has been doing really badly the past few weeks to finally have a good week. No complaints.
And in view of that, Sam, you must be equally pleased, or maybe displeased, right? Because we finished off the last podcast on you declaring your grand plan, which I must say has gone down quite well with some of the viewers we have, that you were going to not triple captain Haaland, because too obvious, boring as per Sam's theory, right? If you're just triple capping somebody, everyone's captaining, you're only gaining like a third, right? It's a very small gain, so it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So
And I just also want to point out that I did say like the logical thing to do was to triple captain Haaland. I just consciously chose not to do the logical thing. But for those of you who followed logic, congratulations. Big haul then.
But those people can only, live with their boring, undeserved, such template haul. Whereas you, Sam, were going to triple captain in Game Week 19, Bruno Fernandes, as in your words, bring in the new year with Bruno. I'm guessing that plan has taken a slight snag this week, Sam, given that Bruno Fernandes, who has never missed more than 3 games a season, seemed to do his hamstring in with about 10 minutes left of the half. And I think he was so confused. He's never had a hamstring injury before. He just kept playing. Like, he took corners, he took shots, he just kept going around, and he kept whacking his leg like as if that would just fix the hamstring.
What is this feeling? Totally alien
Sam,
to him.
I mean, we're going to get to Bruno replacements, but I think more importantly, everyone wants to know, Sam, because I don't think we're recording again before Game Week 19. What the heck are you going to do with your triple captainship, mate?
I have to say, I'm still kind of holding out hope. And it may be very slim, but there has been precedent for managers exaggerating Bruno's injury and then him just showing up way earlier than expected. Obviously, I don't expect him to be fit this weekend. However, next game week, in 1 week's time, who knows, right? So I'm still gonna keep my triple captain right until the final week, just to see my options.
Well, we had an interesting question here, Sam, and I thought we'd start off the top of the show with captaincy, which is a bit unorthodox, but I think it sort of ties in nicely. We had a question here from FPL fan, and I assume he's talking about captaincy because he has one question: Ekitike or Haaland? So, Sam, you went early on Hugo Ekitike. You sold a Newcastle forward who I said is never going to score again. Hands up, both hands up. Scored within 30 seconds and then scored again. Well, we won't mention Nick Waltemade again on this podcast.
Is it a Christmas thing? Big Nick delivers when it's Christmas?
Could be. And I am equally worried about not owning Big Nick this week against Man United, who I just realized have kept one clean sheet all season.
Yeah. Which is why I don't know if this is the time to say it. We're all over the place right now, but I did bring in a Newcastle attacker into my team already. Yeah.
I mean, let's spoil it, Sam. Who is it?
Well, obviously, I'm not gonna go back to Big Nick, right? That ship has sailed. I don't care. Even if he scores a hat trick right now, I'm not going back out of spite. So the next best option, Anthony Gordon.
Interesting. Okay. We'll come back to that because Anthony Gordon, I think, features quite clearly in the sort of list of Bruno replacements, Sam. But we'll make this a quick one. Are you going to captain Ekitike this week?
Yes.
I love it. I love it. See, no slow burn, right? We could have waited like 45 minutes and built up to this, but no, Sam, you just go straight in with that. I love the
Yeah.
balls. I love the bravery. Is this wanting to go against the grain, or do you logically feel Ekitike against Wolves is better than Haaland at Forest?
Yeah. That's exactly it, Siva. I mean, as great as Haaland is, he's not perfect, right? There are weeks where he scores two, like 3 weeks so far this season. Wait, no, 5. 5 game week so far this season, in which he's just got a measly 2 points. This could be the 6th, and I just think it's a fixture play. Liverpool looks like they're flowing. Ever since a certain someone left for a different continent.
I like your anti-Salah agenda continuing into another week, Sam. You say Liverpool's flowing. I got to take some issue with this, Sam. It took Liverpool a lot of effort to beat 9 men. I mean, they struggled across the line against Spurs. They were chasing back and like backtracking. They were camped in their own half at 2-1 against 9 men. I'm not sure that Liverpool are this dominant side. And I don't think until Xavi Simons decides to stick his leg into his national captain, until that point, I don't think Spurs were really at risk of Liverpool. So you're not concerned at all? Or do you just think because now that Isaac is basically out for the season, doesn't matter, you get Ekitike for 90 minutes probably, and you're happy with that?
That's pretty much it. Ekitike, 90 minutes playing against the worst team in the league. It's a gamble, I guess, but not that big of a gamble, I think.
Okay, I like it. I think you have a certain bravery and an ability to detach, Sam, from the sort of shall we put it, the hype on Twitter. Because when I did post this up, I think the initial reactions on the weekend were like, nah, you're never going to captain somebody who's not Haaland. But I feel as we get closer to the deadline and with a couple of Christmas drinks and whatnot, we'll get a bit more brave, I think. I quite like the Ekitike idea, and I may consider joining you. I'm just scared of Haaland, as you always am, and didn't help that Forest lost to Fulham.
I'm just going to say people have just like massive recency bias, right? Like, okay, so Haaland had a big score against West Ham. Everyone's like, oh, how can you even consider not captaining Haaland? Just go back 2 weeks ago when he scored 2 points against Sunderland. The week after that, no one captained him, right? Everyone moved elsewhere. People just have really bad recency bias, I think. What I'm saying is that Haaland, good asset, sure, yes, but even Haaland is not immune to blanks sometime. And gotta take a risk here and there, I guess.
Okay. Now, I do think for completeness, we should say that I don't expect Ekitike to take pens. His record is not great. So my guess is going to be either McAllister or maybe someone else. Obviously, Szoboszlai is suspended.
McAllister used to take pens, right, for Brighton before his move.
He was pretty good at that.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to McA.
Yeah. Obviously, Slots had a press conference today. We are recording this on Tuesday, where he did confirm that Florian Wirtz is okay. He just came off with a bit of cramp at the end of the game. And that sort of takes us, I think, nicely to the question that we had. This is largely to do with Bruno replacement, Sam. Not something you're probably too interested in since you don't own Bruno, but, hear me out for a bit.
That's it, Siva. It did interest me because up until this game week, I still have Mbeumo. I just left him in my bench because I felt there was no other midfield option to replace him, any attractive options. So it helped me. Like all this conversation on Bruno replacements, it's the same for me.
Yeah, and I think your Brian Mbeumo example is pretty telling here, because I was asking you, why are you keeping this guy for another week? Like, just make a transfer. Didn't really hurt your score this week. Kind of shows that if your squad is good, your squad is good. And we had a question here from FPL Hafiz. Very surprised that there is a pod. I got to be honest, we're surprised too, man. But hey, we're here. So. And he's asking, and this Sam, I really need to check because I'm not sure if he's been taken hostage or if he is under duress. But his first question was Bruno to Wirtz. Like, okay, so let's back it up here. Florian Wirtz has a very impressive 1 assist in 14 games. And I'm not sure that Florian Wirtz has become a better FPL asset just because Bruno Fernandes is injured, Sam. What do you think?
I think that my first choice to replace Mbeumo was actually Florian Wirtz. Like at the end of the game week, my first instinct was to move Mbeumo to Wirtz.
And then you woke up from your dream and realized that you're not
No.
living in.
I'm gonna preface this about I think Wirtz will be a good transfer.
Yeah, mate, in Bundesliga fantasy next season. But I mean, this year.
No,
Right.
for real, Siva. Like I said, I'm kind of hot on Liverpool right now. Good short-term fixtures, right? So Wolves, Leeds, Fulham, then they have a tough away game against Arsenal and then Burnley. But the next 4 of the next 5 looks great.
Yeah, but that doesn't make
so my
Florian
my
Wirtz the
instinct,
most
and I
clinical
think
attacker, Sam.
Wirtz, I think Wirtz is doing well. In these past few games, like he's really creative. It's just that he gets a lot of hockey assists, right? For those of you who don't understand the term, it's basically he's assisting the assister. However, in the past few games, I see him creating a lot of chances, and I think, I don't know, he still hasn't found his shooting boots, to use a very cliche term, but he is creating chances for his teammates very unselfishly. And I was a big fan of Wirtz before his move. Like I thought he was really, really good in his previous club. I like the transfer personally, but just taking a closer look at the fixtures, I think in about 5 game weeks time, I would want my Liverpool players out. And it's too much to have to remove both Ekitike and Wirtz in 5 game weeks. So that's the only reason why I just felt Ekitike is giving me enough coverage. Whether that's a fallacy or not, I don't know. And I wanted a Newcastle attacker in, which is why I went for Gordon instead. However, I do think independently Wirtz will be a good asset over this next 5 game weeks.
And would you say that Wirtz is clear of both Gordon? Obviously, you went for Gordon for your own reasons, right? But would you say that Wirtz is either clear or equal to Gordon and CUNHA? Because Matheus CUNHA ultimately is the popular pick. Everyone's going to Matheus CUNHA this week. Understandably, I guess, because obviously he's the United guy. You want the United fixtures. You lost Bruno. You want to get the guy who gets Bruno's fixtures. We assume Matheus CUNHA is on pens. His record is okay. I think he scored 7, missed 2. He didn't really take them at Wolves because he had to share with a lot of other guys, Sarabia, Strad Larson. But presumably he takes it here because Burma's also off at the AFCON. So what do you think about Matheus CUNHA v Florian Wirtz and then Gordon in the mix?
So as a United fan, I'm not that hot on CUNHA. Or United in general. I think last game week I already voiced some concerns losing Mbeumo and Ahmad, 2 very, very important players to our squad. And now losing Bruno, probably the most important player in our squad. I'm really worried for United, especially against a tough team like Newcastle. Of course, giving 19s against Wolves, like we could play our second team, they'll be fine. That's a bit too disrespectful. But I'm just not keen on making the transfer this week. I don't think it's a priority for this week itself. I know there were some people talking online like, CUNHA carried Wolves last year. So even though he's playing a bad team, he could still, produce the goods, so to speak. I'm just not sure. I'm just not keen on any United assets for this game week.
But I think the issue that people have is they need a Bruno replacement this week. So most people are not really content to wait and take all the price drops. Although, to be fair, Bruno hasn't dropped yet, but we expect that he will start dropping the next few days. I think if you've got to go this week, Sam, I'm struggling to argue against Matheus CUNHA. I really don't like it I think I've inherited a bit of your anti-United bias, unfortunately. And I'm struggling to sort of disassociate from what I feel are very poor performances from the team as a whole. Matheus CUNHA did really well to get the goal. Like, that's a goal he makes all by himself, right? Matty Cash slips up, and then he just gets the ball in a good location. And it's not an easy finish. Matheus CUNHA does like to take a lot of these low XG shots. I just think with these fixtures, I mean, it's worth a punt. And if you ask me between Florian Wirtz and Matheus Cunha, the fact that Cunha has chances of pens, I think would just make him a better pick. If you compare him to Anthony Gordon, Sam, now I like that Anthony Gordon has a reasonable set of fixtures coming up. I like that he got the 2 assists this week. What I don't like, Sam, is his minutes are really, really bad. Anthony Gordon almost never plays 90. He's not played 90 minutes in the Prem since game week 1. He's played it a couple of times in the Champions League, but generally comes off. Came off this week around 70. He's come off, as we discussed, like 2 weeks ago, he came off after 50 minutes. And so, I don't know, man. I can't really get on board with buying an attacker who's so prone to being substituted. I don't know why. I assume because they feel like they got depth in terms of wingers now. They got Ilanga, they got Barnes, they've got Jacob Murphy, so they can try different options. I just don't want somebody who's going to be subbed off that often, which is not going to be the case for Cunha.
That's true. I did think about that, but I still think he is probably the first choice winger on the team sheet at the start. Now he might get substituted early, right, for sure, but definitely, probably will start the next few games. And I think it's just more of the fixture run, right? Because United this week, who, like you said, only kept 1 clean sheet. Burnley, Palace, who, look dead knackered. Leeds, Wolves, like it's as nice as it gets.
Okay. I think I'm still not really sold on Gordon, just given the minutes, but I think that's also indicative of just how we play, right? I'm a little more cautious in terms of the players I pick in terms of minutes. But I think, Sam, we've not mentioned the best player in FPL right now. The man who's got 3 double-digit hauls in the last 6 weeks. It's Morgan Rogers, Sam. And how is Morgan Rogers how is that not your first transfer? Because this brother doesn't need XG. He just scores. He single-handedly won the game against United. He just shoots. He's doing this every week now. He just shoots from a ridiculous angle. He scores. It's Morgan Rogers, so he's always going to play for Villa. We know Emery will run him into the ground, guaranteed to play 90 minutes. Are we so scared of Chelsea defense that we don't want to get Rogers?
I think it's the fact that it's Chelsea and Arsenal away, right? Like, I think game week 20 onwards, it looks great. You got Forest, Palace, Everton, Newcastle, Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton, Leeds. Like, those are scoreable fixtures. It's just this next 2, I think. But that's it, I didn't go on any Villa players earlier on because their fixtures look bad, and they've been doing really well the past few weeks.
I mean, 10 wins in a row in all comps. The United fan could have had 2 haircuts by now, right? And I mean, Chelsea feels like a very scoreable game is what I would say. Not easy, but definitely scoreable. And yeah, his XG is a bit sus, but he took 7 shots against United. So if you're going to take like 10 low XG chances, eventually someone's going to concede. And Robert Sanchez might get assists, but I still don't trust his goalkeeping.
I get him for his attacking returns,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get it for his assist potential. Arsenal away is tough, sure. It is really tough, but Villa just beat them a few weeks ago, and Villa's kind of Arsenal's bogey team, like cost us the title a few seasons ago. Arsenal are 2 weeks removed from being 15 seconds away from dropping points to the worst team in the league. So again, like, how much do you place into fixtures versus form? Morgan Rogers is definitely on better form than any other player in the Prem right now.
I think so. I guess what I'm trying to do is just trying to play on the fixtures a bit. Now, I probably will get all 3, right? Like I said, I went for Gordon this week because I feel like this is where his nice fixture run starts. Hopefully, a United player next week. If Cunha proves me wrong, great. Then I'm gonna get him in next week. Like, it's not a big loss to me because that's when their nice fixture run starts. And then in game week 20, my plan is to get Rogers. Like, that is the plan in my mind right now. Just playing on the fixtures, I don't see any reason to get him in so early this week when there are other options with good fixtures and decent form.
Okay. I should also add that we both have Semenyo. So I guess similar to me, you're looking at this as a sort of Semenyo exit plan, not that we're just replacing the same guy 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, I mean, most of us have Foden. So Foden's going to stay in the team. And everyone else, I think, is dispensable at this moment. Right? Is there any other midfielder who you're like, I have to hold him I have Rice, so okay, Rice, and maybe if you have Saka, and I understand, I appreciate that a lot of people have budget issues because they have Saka and they're looking to offload and things like that. So that may be another consideration. But basically, one Arsenal midfielder and Foden, and then you got three that you can play around with.
Okay, true. So final sort of conclusion on this, Sam. I think if you're going this week, you reluctantly go CUNHA, but you feel if you're going this week, you just go Gordon.
Yeah, that's what I feel. But keeping my eye on CUNHA and ROGERS.
Okay, yeah. ROGERS in 20, I think, is like a no-brainer. Very, very little room to discuss that. Are there any other midfielders who we are not giving due respect to? I don't feel like there's anybody else here. And I guess we are not, neither of us would go for Words, even if we think he's, well, you think he's a better pick than I do, but neither of us would go for him.
I think if I had more transfers and more slots in my team, I wouldn't mind a Words pick. Especially if I didn't have Ekitike. If for whatever reason I could not get Ekitike, then I would much more heavily consider getting Words in.
Yeah. Anybody else? I mean, there's some people talking about cheap options like Jeremy Pino, and I'm not sold, obviously.
I had
looked like
Pino at
falling
one
apart.
point. No, don't go there.
A long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, try to be different. I had Pino at one point. I had Sar at one point. Neither of them did anything for me.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
I
although I
see.
did,
Sorry, I see a lot of people saying that Rice, who a lot of people are saying let's move Saka to Rice to get more money. I was way ahead of y'all at Rice for the longest time. But I'm just gonna say again, I think it's recency bias because just go back one game week ago and all the Rice owners are thinking, man, I should have just paid more for Saka. And so I think it's just recency bias. The only reason why you want to make the transfer is maybe budget reasons, right? Like if you really can't find money anywhere else to make the most that you need, then sure. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be like that throughout the whole season, like a flip-flop. And the only one thing that Saka has over Rice is that he is a captainable asset, as shown last week, right? Like Rice, despite a good fixture, I could not captain him at all.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Saka is done with giving charity pens, it's bloody annoying, right? Because I owned Gyökeres for the time Saka took the pen, and I've owned Saka for the time he's given Gyökeres the pen. It's I cannot put into words how pissing off that is. But it was always a danger because Saka did this with Havertz when Havertz was struggling to score goals. And basically, any number 9 that comes to Arsenal, they can't score goals, so Saka helps them out, gives them a pen. I hope he's done with it.
And if he took the pen, right, this wouldn't be even a conversation. Right, everyone would be way happy with his points. No one would even consider selling him. I think it's a one-off thing. Like you said, he's done it before in the past.
Yeah, and also he had like an open goal, which he sort of snatched at. He really should be scoring that chance. Tarkowski clears it on the line. And the thing I sort of think about with Arsenal assets is they're just a very good team. And you're always going to wish, I wish I had this guy. I wish I had that guy. Cherki scores one week, you wish you had Cherki. Then Foden scores another week. Like, I think City, Arsenal picks are generally just, there are more than 3 good picks. And you are always going to feel like you're missing out because one week someone returns, in that one week someone else doesn't return. I'm sure if you own Saliba this week, you're pretty annoyed that Hincape got DEFCONs and bonus. It's just going to be like that.
Yeah. And Calafiori came really, really close to scoring as well. If he did score that, everyone would feel like, oh, I should have went Kala instead of Timber, So like you said, it's going to flip-flop between players every week. I think the key is just stability, hold who you have. If I don't think it's worth a sideway move, basically. During a wild card, you want to reshuffle? Sure. But at this stage, no, I don't think so.
It was pretty funny to see that people sold Saka on Saturday, and then when Bruno got injured, Saka looks pretty decent now.
Yeah.
Okay. I must say, I gotta put my hand up. If you're like me and you were a bit rash, I made an early transfer, which I never do. Like if you listen to this podcast, you know that I never ever make early transfers. I do my transfers with 10 minutes to go to the deadline. But for the one time, I thought, it's Christmas, I'm bored. I don't want to look at my team, and I transferred out Thiago on Saturday night. Brought in Ekitike to beat the price rise because there was going to be a double price down and a price up. And of course, Bruno Fernandes gets his first injury in forever. So I will be benching Bruno this week, and I'm kind of okay with that because I've got Joachim Anderson. Sam doesn't even need a fully set of functioning fingers to get clean sheet and DEFCON. So I'm not worried.
Yeah, I think my what I did with Umbemo can be a lesson to all of us, I guess, even for me, because to be fair, I felt really, really unsure about leaving Umbemo on the bench. It's an 8 mil player, red carded, like no chance of him coming back. I'm eating price for his price is going down, right? So, but I just felt like there was no midfielder I wanted to get this week, so I took the risk, I guess. Same for you. Don't make a transfer if you're happy with the team you have playing. There's no reason to force a transfer in.
But that sort of brings us to circle back to Igor Thiago, Sam, because I think this feels like the week where you make a choice. Like either you go back to 3-4-3, which I'm seeing some people do, and keep him with Ekitike and Haaland, or you sell him for Hugo Ekitike. Now, I've made my call. I'm seen enough, and I think I'm going to back you, Sam, on this theory that when Dango Otara is not here to win the pens, Igor Thiago's usefulness, he's about as useful as Alfonso Alves, which, if you don't know who that is, I mean, another failed Brazilian forward. I will wait until Dango comes back from AFCON to go back to Thiago, and I don't look at these next few fixtures and feel too scared. Yes, Bournemouth are really good at home, but Brentford are really good at home, but Bournemouth is not an easy fixture. Spurs, I mean, who knows? Everton's not easy. Sunderland's not easy. Chelsea's not easy. So apart from Spurs, I'm not really that scared, and I think it's okay to sell.
I think so too. I mean, I never had him, but like I said, Siva, he's a pen merchant. Like no one wins him the pens. He didn't do anything, and I'm gonna stress he didn't do anything because he had 0 shots in the past 2 games. 0. No, not
Just
even
cardio,
talking about
man.
shots on target. Just 0 shots at all. What's he doing on the field? Yeah, get him out of your team. I'm really annoyed though, because everyone's moving to Ekitike, and that's it. Like I had 1 week to enjoy my differential, and now it's not a differential anymore.
I mean, that's FPL, man. The people who went early on CUNHA like a week ago also probably feeling the same way. You can't do anything in this game unless, Sam, you do something really obscure and brave and differential, and you go get Keane Lewis Potter, who is now gone from being left back to out of position forward and scores 21 points.
Yeah, insane. Like one of the biggest hauls, I think, of all time. One of.
I mean, it's up there with Mikel Antonio's 4 goals against Norwich, right? So, any interest in Keane Lewis Potter?
No. From what I've gathered from Brentford fans is that even they are surprised because they knew he was playing out of position, but at the same time they felt that his end product was non-existent. It was just one of those nights where everything, the stars aligned and everything happened as it should, but they don't expect it to continue. He didn't turn into prime like Son Heung-min in one night.
Well, he did score 2 goals, which is 50% of the goals he scored in the 2 seasons prior. So you read that what you will. But I guess if he keeps playing up top, and for some reason Keith Andrews has frozen out Mikael Damsgaard, like he has just decided he is done with Damsgaard. I don't know what it is. Damsgaard is not starting. And if Lewis Potter keeps playing up front, I mean, these fixtures, yeah, they're not the best. It's probably something you revisit. And by the time you want to revisit it, Dango's probably back anyway.
Yeah, I agree. If there's one defender transfer I want to make this week, in which I am actually heavily considering, it's an Everton defender. I think we spoke about it last week, but now they're coming on a really, really nice run of form. Michael Keane time, Siva?
I mean, I like Michael Keane. I think I wouldn't mind slapping him into my team, but the issue that you have, Sam, with going Michael Keane is that the looming threat of Jared Brantwaite always exists. And today, David Moyes said Jared Brantwaite is not due to integrate for at least another 2 to 3 weeks, but we need him back. So on the one hand, good, Jared Brantwaite not here, but on the other hand, need him back implies, maybe David Moyes is also ready to slap Keane out of the team and Brantwaite will be back in immediately. Or do you just not care, Sam? Because 3 weeks feels like such a long way from now.
3 weeks is like, I don't know, 6 fixtures? right? And like as you can see, for those of you watching, Everton's next five is Burnley, Forest, Brentford, who, you know, as I mentioned about Igor Thiago, not a threat. Wolves, and then Villa. Villa's a tough one, right? But next four looks great, and that falls within that 3 weeks. Although, if you don't want to make a future transfer penciled in, just pay a bit more and get Tark.
But the funny thing is, Tark is on 4 yellows. So the hilarity of you going for Tark in an attempt to avoid missing out on games, and then you end up getting a yellow card, as
But
Dominic Szoboszlai owners found out this week.
isn't it gonna reset really soon?
Resets after 19.
So yeah, you just need to survive 2 weeks then.
Tricky, Sam. I mean, it's just a yellow card, right? Look, Dominic Szoboszlai didn't even deserve his yellow. I don't think he had anything to do with how he got the yellow. I think like other people were arguing, and he was just walking by. Ref saw him and just gave him the yellow anyway. So
That's
I'd
true.
say
So both has its risks, I guess. One might lose his place, one might get suspended. But I think if you're gonna do it, this will have to be the week you do it, right? Because what's the point of jumping on them if you're not gonna get them when they play Burnley? There's no point
agreed.
doing it after this week, right? It's now or never for them.
Yeah, although as a Bournemouth defense owner, well, I still own Petrovic for reasons I'm not entirely sure of. I will say that owning defenders against Burnley has not really worked for me. I had Malik Teo a few weeks ago, lost his clean sheet with 10 minutes to go. Petrovic lost his clean sheet with 15 seconds to go. Burnley seem to score that one goal just to make your life miserable. They don't do anything else, but they'll get some guy like Fleming or Foster.
Lau
Somebody just
Foster,
scores.
yeah.
But La Foster's at AFCON, thank God. But this guy, Zian Fleming, who nobody's heard of, has just spawned in the Prem and is just scoring random nothing goals. Breuer scored. Amanda Breuer hasn't scored for 2 years. Scores to burn my clean sheet. So I don't know about this whole Michael Keane thing, but he's cheap. I will give you that. So I think fair enough.
Mhm.
Not
yeah, okay.
interested in any other defenders though, Sam. Alderete, Sunderland, still keeping cleans. You got the Brighton guys, still keeping cleans. And you go even further down, Sam. Leeds. Jaka Biol, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, 3.9. Should have had 2 assists this week, but because he's not famous, nobody cares. Because he got 1 assist. And if you watch the replays, he definitely got a second assist. But because he's not Saka and nobody's watching this, like the FPL intern is not watching Leeds v Palace, he never got his second assist.
No hashtag for him, like justice for Bio.
Nope. No hashtag whatsoever. This is the problem about buying guys with no aura. But still, notwithstanding, I mean, he's cheap. Leeds, surprisingly pretty decent. Are you interested?
No.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna leave it at that.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think most of us have double Arsenal defense, right? Probably have one City defender, O'Reilly most likely. But by the way, those of you who went Nunes over O'Reilly, I salute you. I think it's nailed his place and what a great option to have. If I had a choice now, I would go Nunes over O'Reilly because I think Nunes brings more consistent points. Whereas O'Reilly, we're all like, oh, he has great attacking threat. The returns are coming, but it doesn't, right? And if he gets 1 assist in every 5 weeks, we'll be really happy with that. But that means low def cons, low bonus. So I think in the long run, Nunes outscores O'Reilly.
I'm gonna say it feels a bit like Robertson v Trent a very long time ago, where Nunes just keeps chipping in with these assists, and the guy who's really sexy, who runs a lot and kind of scores once in a blue moon, is just not going to return as much. It's starting to feel like that.
True. So yeah, that's probably 3 of our defenders already, right? So depending on what formation you play, most of us, some of you probably don't need any more defenders. Some of you maybe need 1 more. And I'm not going to waste my 1 starting defender slot on a Leeds player, Siva. Come on.
Fair. Yeah, I'm not gonna discount that. I mean, I have Biol just because I needed to lose some funds on the bench because I had a very expensive bench. But yeah, I wouldn't have him as a starting defender. What do you do with your Palace defender, Sam? That's probably something I'm a bit more interested in because you've still got Mark Gahey, Sam. And are you worried that, well, it's one result, so maybe we shouldn't overreact, but it's telling that Palace rested the entire team in the Europa Conference and then still ended up getting smashed by Leeds.
I think Palace they're tired. They're really tired, right? Like despite the rest, they still look tired as heck. However, they are playing Spurs, and if there's one thing I know about English football is Dr. Spurs always helps. So I'm starting him this week, barring any like late Everton defender transfers, in which they'll probably be swapped out.
Okay, fair. I mean, I quite like the fact that in all this talk about who's signing Antoine Semenyo, the only report that I really picked up on this week was Tottenham Hotspur are really interested, but Antoine Semenyo has politely rejected them. Like he's willing to talk to Liverpool, he'll talk to City, he'll talk to even United, but Spurs, it's okay, man. It's okay. I don't need to speak to you.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it then, I guess, for defenders. Like, there's no one else you're going to talk about. United has great fixtures, but again, only one. Although I will say I was very impressed by Dorgu. Seems like he and CUNHA are, building a nice partnership on the left. But again, with just one clean sheet, not going there. And then that's it, right? Who else are you going to get? You're going to get Van Dijk? Like, who else is there, Siva?
I mean, no, I'm not going anywhere near Liverpool defense. Would I? No, I really wouldn't. I think just not impressed against Spurs. Like, how do you concede against 10? And then, yeah, United, one clean sheet all season. I know heaven looks really good and it's Christmas and all that, but not for me. Yeah, I think we're sort of done with the defenders. It's really just an Everton guy or getting another Arsenal or City player, but you're probably not going to double up on City defense. With that in mind, Sam, we're kind of wrapping up, but we did, as a favor to FPL Hafiz, who wants to play his free hit in Game Week 19, and in recognition of the fact that we're probably not going to record a Game Week 19 pod, Sam, given that it's New Year. 11 picks for Game Week 19. Now, I think we can easily start off, right? Forward line, you can't really negotiate. Obviously, you're going to have Ekitike, you're going to have Haaland. Would you get a third forward?
No, I think there is Volt, maybe?
Burnley?
At home against Burnley? Yeah.
Away.
Sorry, yes, away. But, all the same, the point still stands.
Yeah, you take a shot, I think.
Yeah,
Free hit, right?
although
You gotta take a shot.
Wisa not being at AFCON, like despite his
Quite
team
annoying.
playing, right, and being fit there, so it does make it a bit scary. So I think the same applies as to what you were talking about with Gordon, right? In which Volt probably starts but might get hauled off early. But, maybe 60 minutes against Burnley is all you need for a hat-trick.
Yeah, I think on free hit, you just take your chances, right? So I would just get triple Newcastle, triple Arsenal, triple City. And then the only other team would I even bother considering? Yeah, Liverpool. I mean, they play Leeds. Go for some attackers. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. In this scenario, I'd take Florian Wirtz. I don't mind that. And
You want to
United.
United there, right? The problem is we're not sure. So I think this week will be a big litmus test, I guess, for United players. And then depending on how they play, how well they do, can go against Wolves. I will say that I think if you want a free hit and you want a 1 week punt, I think Mason Mount has looked really, really good. Which I don't think anyone who's not a United fan have noticed or even talked about Mason Mount.
I haven't given Mason Mount a thought for about 3 years, Sam. So I think you very much got to be a United fan to think this. But okay, I like the shout. But you wouldn't consider him as a Bruno replacement, right? Just as a free hit.
Not in a proper transfer, right? Because yeah. But in a free hit, 1 week punt, yeah, I think it looks good. Definitely nailed to start because we literally have no one else except for a bunch of kids. Darren Fletcher's son.
Darren Fletcher's son. I saw that up there.
Yeah. But yeah, Mason Mount, Dorgu, I think might be a shout as well for 1 week punt.
Okay. Fair. All right. I don't think there's anything else this week, Sam. So I guess we'll see everyone in 2026, right?
Yeah. And Merry Christmas, everyone. And probably Happy New Year, because like I said, no more pod for the rest of the year. I like how we didn't plan it, Siva, but I'm wearing red, you're wearing green. Colors of Christmas. For all those of you who are not watching, I had to say it out loud.
I was thinking more like Harry Wilson and Raul Jimenez, but would have worked better if they actually returned. But Yeah, let's go with Christmas, Sam. Yeah,
Oh,
that's true.
yeah.
Festive.
Yep. So, Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays, and we'll see you next year.
Yeah, in the meantime, get 2 green arrows, okay?